Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is that time of the year when I sit down, take a deep breath, and really break down the numbers to see how much YouTube paid me for my true crime channel in 2025. This is going to be a full look at month by month performance, and I'll share what I learned along the way, the good, the bad, and sometimes the frustrating part of being a content creator. Looking back, 2024 ended on a high note for True Crime with Alex, which is my channel. I had videos that reached a wide audience, the engagement was strong, and it felt like the channel was finally on a steady growth path. But as anyone who's been on YouTube knows, growth is never linear, and 2025 reminded me of that in a very real way. It was a year that served as a reality check, showing that no matter how well you did last year, every new year can bring surprises, both encouraging and challenging. January 2025 started off with some of that leftover momentum from back in December 2024, and because my videos performed well at the end of the year, YouTube continued to push my content early in January. I ended up with 96,000 views and 18.6 watch time hours for the month, which was a solid start, and my two most viewed videos were exactly what I expected: Death Row Inmates executed in December, which got 19.9k views, and All People Scheduled to be Executed in 2025 with 10k views. These videos were anticipated to perform well because I knew my audience is very interested in these kinds of subjects. It's always satisfying when the data confirms what you already suspected about your viewers' interests. What surprised me though was the third most viewed video of the month, which was Last Words of All Women Executed in the US, which was uploaded back in August 2022. This video received a little over 7k views in January 2025. That's a great reminder for everyone that is building a channel that even if a video doesn't seem to get immediate traction, it can become an important part of the channel later on. Content is a long-term investment. You never know which videos will continue to bring views months or even years later. In January, I uploaded 9 videos in total. From those uploads, I gained 375 new subscribers, which was exciting considering the month's relatively low output compared to some of my most intensive upload months. My content received 1.1 million impressions, which is the total number of times people saw my thumbnails across YouTube, and my click-through rate was 6.2%, which is decent, though it always leaves room for improvement. My average view duration was 11 minutes and 43 seconds, showing that people were sticking around for a good portion of my content. That is something that always makes me happy because it indicates engagement, not just clicks. Revenue-wise, the month was modest. My RPM, revenue per thousand impressions, was $4.95. This is on the lower side of what I usually earn. For context, this means that while my videos were being seen, advertisers weren't paying as much. This is a common occurrence in January, as advertisers often adjust their budgets after the holiday season. My highest earning day was January 1st, in which I made $33.11, and my lowest earning day was January 17 at just $9.42. Overall, the total AdSense revenue for January was $472.28. While it wasn't a record-breaking month, it was a solid start for the year, and more importantly, it provided valuable data that I could use to plan the months ahead. February 2025 was an interesting month for True Crime with Alex, and it taught me a lot about the unpredictability of YouTube growth and revenue. I uploaded 14 videos, a slight increase compared to January, and I was eager to see how the additional content would impact views, watch time, and overall engagement. By the end of the month, I had accumulated almost 95,000 views and 13,000 watch time hours. While this was slightly lower in total watch time compared to January, it was still a solid performance considering the fluctuations that can happen at the start of a new year. And if you see me look down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So sorry about that. When I look at the top performing videos for February, a pattern emerges that reinforces a lesson I've learned over the years. My audience loves content that is timely, detailed, and covers topics that are not widely discussed. The most viewed video was Death Row Inmates Executed in February, which received 16,000 views, and this was expected as monthly execution updates have have consistently drawn attention, giving my viewer the information they actively seek. Following that, the last words of all women executed in the US appeared again as a top performer with 7,000 views. Even though this video was originally uploaded in August 2022, it continues to bring views. This proves that evergreen content remains an important part of a channel's long-term strategy. Interestingly, the third most viewed video in February was Death Row Inmates Executed in December with 5.7k views. This shows that my audience still engages with content from prior months if the topic remains relevant. February also brought significant subscriber growth, with 481 new subscribers joining the channel. This was higher than January's 375, which I attribute partly to the increased number of uploads and partly to YouTube's algorithm continuing to push my content to the right audience. Over the month, my videos received 1.2 million impressions, meaning my thumbnails and titles were seen over a million times across the platform, and my click-through rate was 5.7%, slightly lower than January's 6.2%, indicating that while my content reached more people, slightly fewer clicked compared to the previous month. My average view duration dropped to 8 minutes and 19 seconds, reflecting that some of my February videos were slightly shorter or more fast-paced, which affected the total time viewers stayed on each video. One challenge this month was AdSense revenue, which dropped compared to January. My RPM was $4.55, which was lower than January's $4.95. This drop highlights an important reality for creators. Views don't always correlate directly with revenue, because RPM is affected by advertisers' budgets, audience demographics, and the type of content being watched. Even with strong viewership numbers, lower CPM and RPM meant that my total earnings for February came to $429. From a content strategic perspective, February reinforced a few key lessons. First, timing and relevance matter. Videos about recent executions or updated death row cases consistently outperform older content that doesn't have a newsworthy angle. Second, evergreen videos remain valuable, often surprising me by continuing to generate consistent views months or even years after I publish them. Finally, fluctuations in revenue are normal. YouTube monetization isn't just about the views, it's also about ad rates, seasonal advertiser behavior, and audience engagement pattern. Understanding and accepting these things is what helped me stay patient and focused on improving content quality, rather than obsessing over day-to-day earnings. Overall, February was a month of steady growth and learning. I gained more subscribers than in January, and I maintained strong engagement metrics. I had clear takeaways for planning content in the coming months. While revenue dipped slightly, the numbers were still promising, and I could see how small adjustments and strategy like optimizing video topics, thumbnails, and upload frequency could have a significant impact moving forward. For any creators watching, this month is a perfect example of why patience, consistency, and a long-term perspective are essential. Even with minor setbacks in earnings, growth is happening behind the scenes, setting the stage for future success. March 2025 was a month that really tested my patience and reminded me how unpredictable YouTube can be. I uploaded 11 videos this month, which is a healthy number, but the results were quite different from what I had experienced in January and February. My total views dropped significantly to 46.7k, which is almost half of what I got in the first 2 months of the year. Similarly, my watch time decreased to 7.4k hours, which was noticeably lower than February's 13k hours. While the numbers weren't terrible by any means, the sharp decline was enough to make even an experienced creator feel a little uneasy. I gained 129 new subscribers in March, which was lower than the first 2 months, but still represented steady growth. If you're new on YouTube, this is the kind of month that can feel discouraging. Most people might start to panic when they see their views cut almost in half compared to previous months. It's natural to question your content, your strategy, and even yourself. But here's the reality. These dips are not a reflection of your content quality. They are influenced by factors outside of your control, like YouTube's algorithm and seasonal fluctuations in viewership. For example, my impressions in March were only 541k, roughly half of February's 1.2 million. This shows that even though engagement remained solid, fewer people were being shown my videos. Interestingly, my CTR actually increased to 6.1%, up from 5.7% in February, and my average view duration improved to 9 minutes and 32 seconds. This tells me that the viewers who did see my videos were highly engaged, but the drop in impressions meant fewer overall views. It's a perfect example of why creators need to understand the difference between engagement metrics and reach metrics. Both matter, but reach determines the total audience size. Revenue-wise, there was a small silver lining. My RPM increased to 521 compared to February's 455. Higher RPM is always encouraging because it means that advertisers were paying more per thousand impressions. However, the revenue increase wasn't enough to make up for the drop in views. So my total AdSense earnings for March $241.95. While it's less than the previous months, it's still a valuable lesson in how monetization can fluctuate independently of engagement. Overall, March taught me one crucial lesson. Dips happen and they can feel discouraging, but understanding the data, impressions, CTR, AVD, and RPM helps put those numbers into perspective. It reminded me that resilience and patience are essential for content creators. Even in a month that feels like a step back, the lessons you learn set the stage for growth in the future. April 2025 was not my best month on True Crime with Alex, and I won't sugarcoat it. It was a bit frustrating. I ended up with 68.2k views, 6.7k watch time hours, and 218 new subscribers. Compared to March, it was slightly better, but still not what I had hoped for, especially considering the effort I put in. This month, I uploaded 22 videos, almost one every day except weekends. I believed increasing the number of uploads will automatically translate into more views, more engagement, and more revenue. However, that was not entirely the case. My videos received 1.1 million impressions, a healthy number, but my CTR dropped to 4.9%, meaning fewer people were clicking on my videos even though they saw the thumbnails. My average view duration also dropped to 5 minutes and 57 seconds, which was a noticeable decrease from previous months. This showed me that while my content was being discovered, it wasn't keeping people engaged as long as before, and that's something I needed to consider when planning future videos. Revenue was another challenge in April. My RPM dropped to $3.78, which is quite low, and my total earnings were $255. Looking back, this was the first month in 2025 where I felt genuinely discouraged. I had put in an enormous amount of work creating and uploading 22 videos, and yet the return didn't match the effort. For any content creator, months like this are tough. They remind you that hard work alone doesn't guarantee immediate results on YouTube. Understanding the audience, timing, and engagement is just as important. Then came May, which was a bit of a turning point for me personally, even if the numbers were still modest. I uploaded 14 videos, earned 54.7k views, 6.8k watch time hours, and gained 228 subscribers. My impressions were 826,000 with a CTR of 5.1% and an AVD of 7 minutes and 33 seconds. The RPM was still low at $4, giving me a total of $219 for the month. What made May different though was that I had something huge in my personal life to look forward to. This was my last month working a corporate 9 to 5 job, and I could finally feel the excitement building for the time and energy I would be able to dedicate to my YouTube channel. Even though my channel metrics were lower than I wanted, I wasn't worried. I knew that the potential to grow was massive now that I could focus entirely on my true crime channel. This gave me hope and motivation, and it reminded me that sometimes the most important growth isn't immediately visible in numbers, but in the opportunities you create for yourself. If you wonder if this was a personal choice to quit my job and focus on YouTube, or if I was impacted by the global layoffs in all companies, well, it was both. The company I was working for was in the automotive industry, an industry that took a huge hit in the past 5 years. I knew it was just a matter of time until my job would be in danger, and secretly, I was hoping I would get laid off since at least December 2024 because I really wanted to work on my channel. As a responsible adult, I was not able to make that decision for myself. to quit a well-paying job. I was struggling with the fact that I had worked for so many years to reach that point of financial stability, and in the position that I was in, the role that I had in middle management. In 2025, though, I learned that some layoffs were about to take place during the year, so I just took advantage of that situation and expressed my desire to be laid off sooner rather than later. Going into June, I felt an energy that I hadn't experienced in a long time, a kind of excitement and determination that made me feel like I was aiming for the stars. Over the month, I uploaded 13 videos, which brought in 24,000 views, almost 3K watch time hours, and 123 new subscribers. My videos received almost 350,000 impressions with a CTR of 5.1% and an average view duration of 7 minutes and 18 seconds. My RPM was $4.29, which meant a total earnings of $103 for June. On the surface, the numbers might seem modest, but what really defined this month was the amount of mental effort it took to stay focused and motivated. Keeping up with content creation, managing ideas, and staying consistent without burning out was exhausting. I'll be honest, June was tough, but little did I know the hardest months were still ahead and the real challenges were about to hit. July 2025 was one of the most challenging months I've had so far on my channel True Crime with Alex. I uploaded 12 videos, but the numbers were significantly lower than what I had seen in previous months. I received 14.5k views, only 2k watch time hours, and I gained 47 new subscribers. My videos got 219.5k impressions with a CTR of 4.7% and an average view duration of 8 minutes and 17 seconds. My RPM was $4.60, which meant a total earnings of $65 for the month. I won't lie, it was tough to see such a sharp decline after months of more consistent results. At this point, I knew I had to take a step back and do some serious research to understand what was happening. The findings brought a mix of joy and frustration. I discovered that YouTube was making some changes to the algorithm, and what had worked before, shorter videos, frequent uploads, and certain topics, was no longer performing the same way. Some other creators had noticed the drop in views too, but most couldn't figure out exactly why. After analyzing the situation, I decided to experiment by increasing the length of my videos to 20 minutes or more. This was a strategy aimed at improving watch time and engagement, and while it was a risk, it was the only approach I could see that might help me adapt to the new algorithm changes. August 2025 brought a slight rebound after the challenges of July, and it was a month that gave me a sense of cautious optimism. I uploaded 21 videos and they generated 35k views, 4.3k watch time hours, and 87 new subscribers. My videos received a little over 500k impressions with a CTR of 5.1% and an average view duration of 7 minutes and 31 seconds. My RPM was $5.29, which meant a total of $179.91 in ad revenue. Compared to the previous 2 months, this was definitely an improvement, but it still wasn't quite the growth I had hoped for. Despite that, I could feel that I was starting to adapt to the algorithm's changes, and that gave me a sense of confidence. I was experimenting, learning, and beginning to see small signs that my strategies could pay off over time. Then came September, and things shifted again. I uploaded 18 videos, but the views dropped to 17k views with 2.4k watch time hours and only 31 new subscribers. And my impressions were 289k, the CTR dropped to 4.4%, and the AVD was 8 minutes and 32 seconds. My RPM rose slightly to $6.25, resulting in total earnings of $109. While the higher RPM was a small victory, the overall drop in reach and engagement left me feeling confused and frustrated. It was one of those months where I questioned everything: which videos worked, which didn't, and what I could do differently to improve results. It was a reminder that YouTube growth is never linear, and even experienced creators need patience, analysis, and constant adaptation. Again, I did some research, found out most content creators were complaining about the huge drop in views, about 40% decrease, which is huge even for big YouTubers with million subscribers. The true crime niche obviously impacted I understood at this point that it was indeed a change in the algorithm, and I had to figure out what exactly was so that I could do something about it. The good news for me was that it was not necessarily something I did wrong, but this was also the bad news. Because when you know what you're doing wrong, you can work on improving your work. In this situation, I was happy it wasn't me, it was the algorithm, but I was also sad it was the algorithm and it wasn't me, if you know what I mean. One thing that gave me a little peace of mind heading into October 2025 was knowing that I was entering in the last 3 months of the year, historically the strongest months for AdSense revenue. YouTube tends to push videos more aggressively during this period as advertisers ramp up their spending towards the end of the year. It was comforting to know that even after the ups and downs of the previous months, the platform's seasonal patterns might give my channel a boost. In October, I uploaded 11 videos, which brought in 15.5k views, 1.7k watch time hours, and 41 new subscribers. My videos received 167.5k impressions, which was lower than previous months, but the CTR increased to 6.4%, showing that the viewers who did see my thumbnails were more likely to click on them. My average view duration was 6 minutes and 40 seconds, and my RPM was $5.96, resulting in total earnings of $89 for the month. By this point, I had grown somewhat accustomed to the roller coaster of emotions that comes with running a YouTube channel. I wasn't shocked or discouraged by the lower numbers. Instead, I focused on the bigger picture. I had a strategy to upload daily for November and December, and I knew that consistency combined with seasonal momentum could finally bring some of the growth I had been aiming for all year. Patience, persistence, and the plan were my allies, and I was ready to see how the last 2 months of 2025 would unfold. November 2025 was a busy and somewhat encouraging month for True Crime with Alex. I uploaded 30 videos and they brought in 34.5k views, 5.2k watch time hours, and 96 new subscribers. My videos received 486.2k impressions with a CTR of 5.1% and an average view duration of 9 minutes and 7 seconds. This showed that viewers were engaging longer with my content. As expected, the RPM was significantly higher at $8.18 thanks to seasonal advertiser spending, which resulted in total earnings of $278.50 for the month of November. And at this point, guys, the camera just died, so I'm just gonna continue to record a voiceover. Coming into December, I had high hopes, remembering that December 2024 had been the best month ever, with earnings around $800. I uploaded 31 videos, which generated 26k views, 4.1 watch time hours, and 48 new subscribers. My videos received 355k impressions with a CTR of 5.2% and an AVD of 9 minutes and 42 seconds. The RPM was $7.58, giving me a total of $192. While the numbers were lower than expected, it was still consistent with the slower growth I had seen throughout much of 2025. For the year, I earned $2,635.86 compared to $3,785 in 2024. This was a clear reminder that even a year that feels disappointing can teach lessons about resilience, strategy, and perseverance. Despite the ups and downs, I remained motivated to keep improving and learning for the next year. Looking back, I can tell you this. Growth is sometimes slower than expected, but it's there. Being a content creator is not for impatient people. This takes a lot of time, effort, and resilience. Now, this is what my corporate job taught me to keep being resilient. Am I worried? Sure, all the time. But one thing I learned, and it's actually probably the most important thing I can tell you guys, is that those who get big on YouTube are rarely those who go viral. Most successful YouTubers worked on their channels for years before they even got monetized. I am going to keep putting in the effort, I'm going to keep doing my best to improve my skills, and I'm going to keep playing this game, and I will, without a doubt, win at this. Thank you for watching and sticking around. I will keep on uploading on this channel to show you the good and the bad of being a true crime content creator. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.